Hey guys, Rich here. Today we're taking a look at how you can set up the upcoming meetings plugin. And what that does, it's very simple. It shows you some upcoming meetings. Now I have it set up here on a page. You can put it in a sidebar as a widget. You can do whatever you want with it. So the first thing you need to do is get it. You could just go to plugins, add new, search for it. It's there, and do the old install and activate. And then of course the first thing you're going to need to do you go to settings, upcoming meetings, bmlt, and then you type in your root server, save it, and then you're going to select your service body. And this is the similar procedure to just about any bmlt plugin, but install, activate, root server, service body. Now all these settings that you're seeing here are pretty default. You're setting the time zone. I'm in New York, so obviously I use New York. Display type is simple, but you could choose different ones. There's a table display and a block display. Time format, you could have 12-hour, 24-hour. I think mostly in America we use 12 hours, but you can use wherever you want. Language, English or Danish, which is common with BMLT stuff. You could also set the number of results you want. You could do up to 15, so let's just do 10. And then a grace period. That's a number of minutes as a grace period for the upcoming meeting. So if we just save the changes, and we'll see the changes that we made because I did set the table. So you can see that that just looks different, and you could change it however you want. You could also add CSS. By the way, there is an option for custom CSS over here that you can add. Now you'll notice that this plugin does only let you select one service body compared to say Crouton, which lets you select 5. Custom query we can add. So let's say, for example, maybe I want to show only in-person meetings. So that's easy enough to sort out. I'm just going to add a custom query that filters out the VM and TC to VM or TC formats. And then if we refresh, there you go. Now we just have 2 upcoming meetings, and these are in-person meetings. Now, of course, if you add the custom query in your settings, it will apply to all of your shortcodes unless you specify otherwise in the shortcode. Now, and the reason I pointed out that you can only select one service body is because you could change that in the shortcode as well. These are the shortcode attributes at the bottom. I always highly recommend just going through this stuff when you start using a new BMLT plugin because there's so much stuff down here. A lot of times there's stuff that you might not even realize that you can do. But the one I'll point to right now, services. See, even in the example it shows 3 service bodies. So right now I've got the default implementation based on my settings. Now I just told it to include 5 areas because what we do in my area, we include 5 areas on the meeting list, and it's those 5 areas. And as a reminder, the number for the service body, you can always find that in this dropdown, where see where it says Suffolk Area Services 1001, or the Eastern New York region is number 2. And then if we refresh here, it's going to show more meetings from those other service bodies. Obviously, there's not a whole lot that's open just yet, but we did add one from one of those 4 other areas. Now, as usual, any settings that you see on the main settings page, you can adjust those in the shortcode as well. You can change the root server itself. You can change the grace period, the number of results, the display type. Remember, that's the table or block and stuff like that. The time zone, location text, time format, weekday language, and of course, and possibly most importantly, you can add a custom query. And the reason that you might want to add it in the shortcode rather than in the settings is, for example, I had virtual meetings before. All meetings was the first one that was up there, and now we're showing in-person meetings. So what we might want to do is have 2 lists of upcoming meetings on the same page, or 2 different widgets in the sidebar. So now you can do that with having 2 completely different settings for the custom query. But that's about all you need to know. This is a pretty simple plugin, and honestly, I've probably shown you more stuff than you're going to even need to use, but now you have whatever you need for whatever you want to do.